All right, and our next participant steps up to the plate. Wearing an interesting outfit. This is Victor. Victor looks like he's going to go for a turkey here. He winds up. He throws. Strike! As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we're giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey everyone, welcome to the Extreme channel, where today we are looking at CO Signature Collectibles quarter scale Doom vs Silver Surfer statue. Whew, that was a mouthful. So this is going to be a really interesting review because I've been eyeing this statue since it was initially teased. And I've probably never gone so back and forth on something since I had to decide between beer and keeping my children. So this is made by a company called CO Signature Collectibles. So the producer of this statue, CO Signature Collectibles, I have actually purchased a whole bunch of statues from before. Most recognizably was my fatty statues. So they made Marvel and DC characters and they made them into cute fat little guys. And I still own all of those right now. But they started branching out, they started making some life-size busts, and here is a quarter-scale Marvel piece, obviously. And to my knowledge, I don't believe these are licensed, so they are not signed off on by Marvel. And I was always very hesitant because while they did a good job with the fatties, there always seemed like there were a few things off. And I can tell you, as I unbox this statue with the amazing Dr. Doom, who is almost unbeatable, and Silver Surfer, if you're new to the channel, that is actually my favorite character. I was hoping this would be a knockout of the park. Well, I gotta tell you, I think it's a complete miss. I haven't been this disappointed in a statue in a long time. Now, as a disclaimer, before we go into the review, there's a lot of people that own this statue and love it. And you may very well love it too, and that is fantastic. And I'm not trying to shit on anybody, I'm just letting you know my opinion. So let's talk about what I don't like about it, starting with concept. Now that is actually a big part of it. First of all, I don't like seeing my favorite comic book character destroyed or beaten, although this does have some comic basis to it. However, putting that aside, let's take a look. So here you have a rock base, very boring, and I think that's an issue right there. I mean, really, there's 4 elements to this statue, the second being Silver Surfer, and the third being his board. Now, Silver Surfer is outstretched, and just so you guys know, we'll talk more about it in design, but he is oversized. And you move up, and Doom is standing on top of him. As you saw in the intro, he just bowled a strike. Again, if you're a follower of the channel, you know to me, pose is one of the most important things. And this pose is why I did not want to get this statue. Now, I don't have any Dr. Doom statues that aren't sitting in a throne, so I've always needed one, and I figure why not give this one a roll, no pun intended. But Dr. Doom has defeated Silver Surfer, so apparently he went bowling, or he's doing some weird victorious, yeah, I'm the man. Not something that I think one of the most powerful characters in Marvel would do. But he's in the classic Doom outfit, which is good. But really, I just think it's a weird concept. It's a miss. Yeah, there's a lot of basis between him and Silver Surfer going at each other, whether it's in Silver Surfer comics or especially in Fantastic Four comics. But the base is really boring. Where the hell are they at? They on a moon? And why is he in that victorious celebration? Do any of you make that kind of pose when you have a victory? Now, I did notice that Sideshow actually has an art print, so there may be comic basis of this exact scene, but I haven't been able to find it. But I don't want to trash it too bad. I think the concept's a 3 out of 5. The pose is a total miss, the base is boring, but it does have 2 of the most powerful Marvel characters out there facing off, and I think that's kind of cool. Now we'll dive into the design, and again, there's definitely some issues with that, but we'll start with the unboxing and assembly. It was in a very large, heavy box, which is expected with 2 quarter-scale characters. It did have an art box. I didn't really look at it. It was the white foam, so this is kind of the spongy white foam. But here's the first layer. You see that it had Doom, his cape, which was rather large, a few of the pieces. And then the second layer had the base along with Surfer. right, let's get his measurements really quick. So if that's his front, we're going to say the widest part is probably about 19 inches. The highest point up to his hand, we have just over 27 inches. And then the deepest part is about 20 inches or so. So it does take up a lot of space, but it is 2 quarter scale characters. Quarter scale meaning a real life version would be 4 times bigger. However, with that being said, I took this Silver Surfer before I put him on the base, and I put him up against 4 other Silver Surfer statues. He is about 20% bigger than all of them, so I think this is misscaled. Doom, it's a little bit harder to tell, but even from certain angles, he looks smaller than Silver Surfer, which just doesn't seem right. Few issues with mine. On the base, there's this paint speckling, and I don't know if that's intentional or just rub off from Silver Surfer. Where the board goes in, the key isn't the best. You can see those big gaps. I'm not a fan of that. Now, there are 2 Doom portraits. The first is his masked version. And we'll look at it closer in paint and sculpt. Then you have another version where he's half masked, half unmasked. Now, usually Doom is scarred and very ugly. This guy isn't scarred, he's just very ugly. So I think I'm going to put him with my Silver Surfer display. I have a ton of Silver Surfer statues, and then a few villains like Galactus and Thanos, and of course Dr. Doom will look great with them. If you want to see what he looks like in there, check out the Extreme Channel social media. TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. The link is in the description below. But honestly, everything fits together really well. The magnets are a little bit weak, but nothing I'm too worried about. So I think the design is also a 3 out of 5. So now we're going to dive into paint and sculpt, and make sure to stay towards the end because something's going to happen that's never happened before on a review of a statue. So paint and sculpt, I think they missed the ball on quite a bit of this. Some is done decent though, so I don't want to knock them for that. But all right, so let's look at this god-awful switch-out portrait. So like I said, usually Doom is deformed, and this guy isn't, but he probably would have been more attractive if he was deformed, okay? The skin doesn't even look like real skin. I think that's a huge miss. Look at the decal for the eyes. Inside the mask it looks okay. Outside, not so much. And why would he have a half mask on? We didn't really talk about that, but that's kind of weird. So much pink and rosiness. And come on, man. Doom, you should have a better haircut than those mutton chops. And I know I'm one to speak, but yeah, total miss. And then we'll look at the mask and the hood on the actual statue. So the mask actually looks pretty decent. The decals on the eyes aren't the best, but I think they did a nice job. It's interesting. I think the coloring, they didn't use a lot of shading on here to make it look dirty, where they did on the rest of the armor, which almost makes it too dirty. Although I do understand from a conceptual perspective that fighting Silver Surfer, there's probably some battle damage. But some of the things like these big rivets on his arms, these big buttons, I'm not sure what they were trying to go for there. And I'd have to look at my other Doom statues again. But not digging his armor at all, honestly. I think it's a decent miss. And clearly we can't see much anatomy. It's like there's almost like some intricate royal stuff, which you always think of Doom as, more of a king. But the uniform too. So first let's look at the anatomy below it. What the hell is that? Does he have like a big breast coming out of there? I mean, I don't even think I could make my body do that. So I think the anatomy is a little bit of a miss below his dress here. I always like my Dooms textured, so I think that's nice. There's too much black shading in the folds, though. I think that's a little bit of a miss, but it does flow nicely. The cape, they decided not to texturize at all, so it's ugly in my opinion. I almost would have rather had a mixed media cape than this. You see a lot of the dust still all over it. I need to blow that off. I use an air blower, not my mouth, because I'm not one of those people that spits all over their statues. I lick them. But yeah, the cape the flow isn't good, which it was decent on the clothes and even decent on the hood up here. And then again, too much shading on that. It's like they just decided, well, let's just vary it up by putting in this dark shading. It's a kind of a mix between black and you almost see some purples, which doesn't make sense. Surfer's done decent. He's probably my favorite part of it. I like the color of paint they chose. It's a little bit different than his board, which I do appreciate, simply for the fact that I think his board would like change color when he gets on it. And I think the anatomy is done well. He's not overly bulk, although his chest is decently wide. Portrait, you never see a statue of Silver Surfer with his eyes closed, but there you are. But I think Surfer, they actually did a nice job, other than oversizing him on his sculpt and his paint. The base I'm not a fan of, not only because it's so boring like we talked about, but the colors just don't look good. There's more of the white specks that I don't think are supposed to be there. But I do like how it's damaged where his foot landed. But the colors just, it's reminded me of something, and I can't verbalize what it is. But this is pretty much the only thing it has going for it. I wish I would have added more variation. That would have helped not being as boring. The texture is okay on it. It does give it that rock-like effect, so it's not too smooth like his cape is. So at least they have that going for him. So it's really a mixed bag on the paint and sculpt. And what's interesting is, as I look at this in bright lights through the camera here, it does look a little bit better than it does in real life, which is usually the complete opposite. But yeah, there's some things that are just hard for me to get past. And I think this is one of those statues, you know, not really paint and sculpt related, but like this angle I think is horrible. You really have to look at it from one straight angle, and then it looks a little bit more decent. That's not even the best. So, very disappointing. All right, so the base, like I said, not a fan at all. Norin looks fantastic. That's the Silver Surfer's real name. Doom, I hate the cape. The armor's okay. The portrait's okay, at least this one. The other one's trash. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give the sculpt a 2 out of 5. It's probably a stronger 2 out of 5, but I've seen better. The paint, despite some of the speckled issues I have, I think it's decently clean. I would have gone in a few different directions, but I still give the paint a 3 out of 5. And that's kind of being generous in my opinion. Now we're going to talk about value. So they made 250 of these. They made 250 of these, and they retailed right around $1,000 plus a couple $100 shipping. I was lucky enough to grab him from Spec Fiction. Spec Fiction has all kinds of different statues for a very competitive price. I'm stoked I was actually able to pick him up despite some of my disappointment with him. Now, honestly, 250, that's a high addition for a custom statue, but not high overall. And I don't think we're ever going to see a Dr. Doom and Silver Surfer diorama again. So I think there is definitely some value in that. And like I said at the beginning, some people are going to like this. There's just things about it that I absolutely don't like. So I think the value is still a 3 out of 5 because you do get 2 quarter scale, very popular characters. For $1,000, that's not bad when typically a 1 quarter scale character is anywhere from $700 to $1,400. Now, if I'm being honest, the value is probably a 4 out of 5. This statue just doesn't turn me on. Well, what does turn you on, Mr. X? Wouldn't you like to know? Now, clearly the statue doesn't have the X factor. The X factor is this badass. Is it cool? I think the coolest thing it has going for it is the 2 great characters. Now, this is the thing that's never happened before. Usually, the X factor is equal to or higher than the other scores. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. I am not digging this statue. I probably won't resell it for a while, but if I need space, it'll probably be one of the first ones to go. And again, this is just my opinion on it, but I definitely think they had some opportunities. They could have knocked it out of the park because they've done so well with some of their other statues. But yeah, I'm incredibly disappointed. Guys, am I totally being too judgmental here? My wife says so all the time, but it's usually when we're in the bedroom. So comment that below because I really want to know, but also you might win a statue with that. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thank you so much, guys. Please drop me a like on the way out. That really, really helps the channel. Check out some of these other videos. And again, don't forget about that comment. I will talk to you soon. Take care.